Wassup YouTube, PokePrimer here. Primer made to deliver you our Week 5 team builder for the PFL Major Leagues here on the channel. This week we are taking on Emily and the Corpus Christi Castforms. The only reason I'm doing this one before you guys have seen the Week 4 battle, well, this is actually happening before our Week 4 matchup. Because Jeremiah was busy with a lot of things. I believe he was a member of the military in some fashion. So he was stationed somewhere and doing his military deeds, and his battles have been put on hold for a while. So I'm here working on Week 5 so that we can get shit done. So yeah, that'd be great. But Emily's team is, despite the fact that she's currently sitting, I believe, at 1 and 2, I believe her Week 4 battle hasn't happened yet. She sits at 1 and 2. Her team is utterly terrifying, and it's definitely something that I need to really, really focus on my team building for. To make sure that I can surpass it. Like, you'll understand in a minute that this team is absolutely, bar none, one of the most terrifying I've seen. Her team consists of Heatran, Mega Scizor, right there, those two mons. Beautiful, beautiful synergy right off the bat. Her next pick was a Rotom Wash. Again, more beautiful synergy. Like, that threesome right there, Rotom Wash, Mega Scizor, and Heatran is one of the most beautiful, terrifying cores ever. Because both Rotom Wash and Heatran switch into fire moves. Rotom Wash can switch into ground type moves for Heatran, and water moves for Heatran. And Mega Scizor and Heatran can both switch into grass type moves for Rotom Wash. So those three together, I'm guaranteeing you right now. I know I might be guaranteeing this a little too soon, but I'm guaranteeing right now, 100%. Those three mons are coming to the match. Guaranteeing it right now. I would stake my entire YouTube career on it. That, for sure, for absolutely certain, that's going to happen. And I actually have to edit this set really quick. Because I just need one more. There we go. I can actually just take that out, put that back there, and we're good. Okay, so yeah, her team's scary right off the bat, right there. Following it up, we have Umbreon, Dragonite, Roserade, Alakazam, Fletchinder, Slurpuff, Wobbuffet, and Furfrou. So for the most part, her team is very terrifying. A lot of good offensive threats, and a lot of terrifying defensive monsters. You know, Umbreon's a massive wall. Slurpuff is a sweeper supreme. Wobbuffet is terrifying because it traps and kills, traps and kills, traps and kills, traps and kills. Just by eating those hits and shitting on something right back. It's absolutely horrifying. Horrifying. So that's definitely a huge thing. So yeah, really, really terrifying. And then the one thing that I did notice though is her speed tiers are a little bit wild. A little wild. She goes from her fastest mon being base 120, being the Alakazam, which, by the way, we only have one mon on our team that outspeeds it, so there we go. Then we jump all the way down to base 102 with Furfrou, which I don't honestly see coming just because it's not that great. I mean, it can serve its role, but I just don't see it fitting in this matchup. I have too many things that can just absolutely blow it away. jumping from 102 all the way down to 80 or 90 for Roserade. Then it just like it's very gradual from there. 86 for Rotom, 80 for Dragon, 84 for Fletchinder, 80 for Dragonite. 77 Heatran, 75 Mega Scizor, 72 Slurpuff, and then from Slurpuff it just drops off to Wobbuffet at 33. So her team goes from... Her team has one very fast Mon, one very fast Mon, one kind of quick Mon, and then the rest is just kind of meh when it comes to speed. So we can really take advantage and prep nicely to handle those speed tiers appropriately. But hopefully the team that we've built can handle it appropriately. A couple things that really terrify me. The Fletchinder, obviously, because if that thing really gets going with maybe a Swords Dance and Acrobatics and can really tear holes through my team. I have only one thing that really takes that thing on. Actually, it takes it on beautifully. It shuts it down entirely, actually. Now that I think about it, it completely shuts it down. But, Fletchinder's still a threat, potentially. That core that I mentioned at the beginning, Heatran, Mega Scizor, and Rotom Wash, is going to be terrifyingly difficult to break down. And the Wobbuffet, honestly, in my eyes, is one of the biggest threats, just because of the fact that it can just trap you and kill you appropriately. That is why a lot of the Mons on my team this week are packing certain moves that they are, because it just makes sense to me. But without further ado, let's get into this. The first Mon we are bringing is going to be our Manaphy. Going to be rocking the Assault Vest. Since we're actually going to be on Showdown this week, I actually already talked to Emily. We scheduled it. I'm going to call you Trident. Trident is going to be your name. We have the Assault Vest going on this week, just because this thing will now switch into Heatran every single time. Rotom Wash, who would switch into this thing very regularly, can't do so as well anymore. Well, it can switch in, but it can't do as much damage as it normally would with its Volt Switches and whatnot. So that's good, especially if it's a defensive Rotom. It can't do anything with its Volt Switches to us, so that's great. As well as being able to take a hit from the Roserade, which is good, and we can take hits from the Alakazam, which is good. Again, the most terrifying thing right here is Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet will be able to trap this and kill it, so I have to be really, really careful if the Wobbuffet's there. And actually, I'm looking this up on my phone right now. I need to make sure that this is a thing just before I get too much further into this. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. But, we have Scald for the Heatran and the Fletchinder. We have Ice Beam for the Dragonite and the Roserade. We have Hidden Power Fire for the Mega Scizor. And we have Energy Ball for the Rotom Wash. This thing essentially has the coverage necessary to take down the core. It's just a matter of keeping it alive long enough to do so, which is really, really difficult. And I'm honestly debating now that I've found this information online about switching out Ice Beam for U-turn. because if Amon has Shadow Tag, moves like Volt Switch and U-Turn will still allow you to switch. So that's really, really important. So hopefully we can maybe take advantage of that if we get the chance to. Which kind of stinks, But yeah, we'll figure that out. I actually don't think I need it. I don't think I'm gonna need it because I think I can save Manaphy. I don't need to use Manaphy too early on in the matchup. I don't think. And the Ice Beam could be very necessary against the Dragonite as a way of taking that thing down if it comes. Plus it'll be good for the Roserade. Even though I have the HP Fire, it'll be good to have the Ice Beam for the Roserade to hit it a little bit harder. No. I'm really thinking about this, and it's just the more I think about it, the more that I feel like Ice Beam just doesn't fit. Yeah, I'm not gonna fuck with Ice Beam. I'm gonna put the U-Turn on there because, again, I have other things that I know in my head and I guarantee can handle Dragonite, so I'm not worried about it as much. And this way, I can guarantee that against Wobbuffet, who tries to switch in on us, we're safe. We are safe, so that we can U-Turn out. It's not going to do as much damage because we are modest, but we're going to U-Turn. We can U-Turn out and take care of business. We can also use it to U-Turn out against the Dragonite. It'll break its multi-scale. Now that I'm thinking about it, it'll break its multi-scale if it comes in on us freely. It'll break the multi-scale, and even if it goes for Dragon Dance, we have things that can handle a Dragon Dancing Gyarados or Dragonite. I'm not worried about it, so that's fine. We're running max HP, a little bit of defense, 116 special attack with modest nature, because that was what we had left over. And then we are rocking 130 or 104 speed EVs. This allows us to outspeed an Adamant Dragonite by 1 point. So that's cool as shit that we can, do that. So yeah, that's going to be our Manaphy for this week. Next up, we have 3 Pretty 5U. The Shiny Mega Gardevoir will always be shiny because Shiny Mega Gardevoir is gorgeous. Holding the Gardevoir, obviously, with Pixelate for the ability, 60 in HP, 4 into defense, 12 special defense, 180 in speed with a timid nature, just to be sure that we outspeed that Roserade. So the Roserade has to be Scarfed if it wants to outspeed us, and we can take a Sludge Bomb from a Roserade. We can take it, so I'm not worried about it. And we have the max special attack. Now, this set is going to be packing Hyper Voice, because Hyper Voice is necessary. Hyper Voice pretty much decimates a large portion of her team. Fletchinder, even though it's a fire type, gets 2-hit KO'd by it. I'm 99.9% positive, still gets 2-hit KO'd. Roserade, we have other moves to handle, so I'm not worried about it. And the only other Mons that aren't really bothered by it are Mega Scizor and Heatran, which Mega Scizor we're never staying in on. If Mega Scizor switches into our Hyper Voice, we switch out. Plain and simple, we switch out immediately, because Mega Scizor literally just OHKOs us with Bullet Punch and moves on with its life. So that's a thing. We have the Psyshock here, so we can hit that Roserade as hard as possible. Roserade wants to switch into our Hyper Voice. That'd be stupid, because then it will take a Psyshock and die. And we can, again, like I said, we can take a Sludge Bomb, so will take the Sludge Bomb. They won't take the Psy Shock at all. They will die, we will live, and we will be happy, and they will be dead. We have the Hidden Power Ground because of the Heatran. Heatran is an even better switch into the Hyper Voice than Mega Scizor is. So we would then be able to, we would still outspeed the Heatran, obviously, and if the Heatran wants to switch in, that's all fine and dandy. Have fun with that. We're just going to hit you with a quad effective Hidden Power Ground and kill you. So that's cool. And lastly, again, I wanted to pack a potential provision for just about every mon on just about every mon on our team for the Wobbuffet if the Wobbuffet tries to trap us. So in this case, we decided to pack Will-O-Wisp because Will-O-Wisp has multiple uses for this mon. If Mega Scizor switches in, great and fantastic. We can Will-O-Wisp it, which is great. And if it's burned, we can actually maybe take a Bullet Punch, maybe. We could burn a couple of things. We could burn the Dragonite. We could burn, if the Dragonite goes for Outrage, if it takes something out, that's great. We can literally just switch in and go for Will-O-Wisp safely, which is cool. We can Will-O-Wisp the Slurpuff, which would be even better because, you know, Slurpuff kind of likes to Belly Drum, and if we can burn a Slurpuff, it's pretty much like it's not Belly Drummed at all. And that'd be great. And we could maybe burn the Furfrou if it comes. You know, why not? You know, it'd be annoying to take down, so why not burn it? But the Will-O-Wisp is there mainly for the Wobbuffet. Before it gets a chance to use Safeguard, because Wobbuffets like to use Safeguard, so they can't be statused. I can go for a Will-O-Wisp and essentially make it not a threat, so I can whittle it down and literally just spam Will-O-Wisp until it either decides to switch, or it decides to give up on its pursuits, or it reaches the point where I can kill it with a Hyper Voice or something like that, which would be even better. So that's going to be our Mega Gardevoir. Next up, we have our good friend Rafiki. Rafiki is the Simisear, who is rocking just enough speed to outspeed a timid Rotom Wash. Why? Because I want to. Because I want to be able to outspeed it. That's why. We're running an Adamant Nature, max attack, 4 into HP, defense, and special defense, just because why the fuck not? This thing is going to basically just be our main physical threat. We're rocking the Life Orb, so we can hit as hard as possible. Now, we can take a hit from the Roserade. We can take any one hit from the Roserade. I've already checked like hidden powers that are super effective against us and stuff like that too. So we take those hits relatively well. So we can Fire Punch that thing and kill it. We have the Fire Punch. We can kill the Mega Scizor as well. It's going to be just a good overall stab move to have to fire off against random mons on my opponent's team. We have the Knockoff. Knockoff is there for the utility of getting rid of the items. Something wants to try to switch into us. Rotom is a very good example of this. Rotom likes to switch into Simisears. We can knock that bitch off, get rid of its item, and that'd be beautiful. And then also we have the Gunk Shot, so that we can hit the Slurpuff super effectively, which is cool. If it wants to try to Belly Drum in front of us, laughs, you die to Gunk Shot, have fun. And then, again, as a precaution for the Wobbuffet, we have the Toxic here, so that we can make sure to potentially Toxic the Wobbuffet if it hasn't already burned or something else. We can Toxic it, and then just whittle that baby down with that, which is cool. So that's going to be our Simisear. Simisear's going to put in some work. Simisear's already put in more work for me than I ever expected it to. I mean, I honestly expected this thing to sit on the bench so much. But with its decently spread offenses and its over base 100 speed, this thing really has potential to put in a lot of work almost every single week. So I'm really, really happy with his performance so far. Yeah, so that's Rafiki. Next up is one of my favorite mons right now. Oh boy, the Jolteon. This week we are running not Quick Feet, because I've run Quick Feet almost every week so far. This week we're running Choice Specs Jolteon. Choice Specs Jolteon, ladies and gentlemen. This thing is utterly terrifying to face. We're running 180 speed and Intimidate Nature. This allows us to outspeed the Alakazam by 1 point. And then, with that, the ability to outspeed that baby, we can also go ahead and just kill things. Because my opponent this week does not have any ground types whatsoever. Let me just go over the things that this thing can do. Okay? We can Volt Switch all day, every day, on every Pokemon. No matter what, we Volt Switch. There's no immunities to it, we can Volt Switch. Keeps us safe from being trapped by Wobbuffet. Just keeps us safe from a lot of things. And can dish out crazy damage because we're Specs. Okay? We can click Thunder late game, especially after the Wobbuffet is dead. We can just click Thunderbolt. If something wants to switch in, that's going to take about 30, 40, 50%, maybe more, depending on the mon. You're going to take a lot of damage. Oh, we have Shadow Ball too. Shadow Ball for that Alakazam. We can pretty much Oko the Alakazam, which we're probably not going to be able to Oko it because it'll probably be like sashed, most likely. But if it's not sashed, if it's Life Orb, then we kill it 100%, which is great. And if we get any prior damage on the Alakazam, it's even better because then that thing will be dead as fuck. It's also a good thing to have for the Wobbuffet. If the Wobbuffet wants to try to switch in and trap us, I believe we do over 50% with a Shadow Ball. No, we don't. But we do massive damage with a Spec Shadow Ball to the Wobbuffet. So even if it tries to switch in, especially if we have rocks up, 2 Shadow Balls plus rocks kills a Wobbuffet. So that's great. Then lastly, I couldn't come up with another move, so I put on Hyper Voice just because it's good coverage, and it's just good neutral move to hit everything on my opponent's team besides the Mega Scizor and the Heatran. But overall, this set just kind of shits on my opponent's team this week. Specs Jolteon just does so much work here. I mean, it makes Fletchinder a non-issue because the only way Fletchinder is going to outspeed us is by either A, being Scarfed, or B, hitting us with a Flying type move, which is cool. So and Flying type moves we resist, so it's not really an issue. So there's that. So there's that. This thing's just kind of, this thing's very dominant. Believe this thing does 2-hit KO Rotom Wash with Thunderbolt. Once it knocks the multi-scale off of Dragonite, pretty sure it's 2-hit KO. If Dragonite's multi-scale is broken, it's guaranteed 2-hit KO. This thing does so much damage to my opponent's team. It's absolutely out of this world. Jolteon is just too good for this matchup, so there we are. Next up, we have Latifah, the Nidoqueen, with the Shuca Berry. Sheer Force. With the Shuca Berry, we guarantee that we live any hit from Dragonite. This is our other Dragonite check. If that thing gets a Dragon Dance up, we live in Outrage. Barely, but we live in Outrage. We live a Dragon Claw. And with the Shuca Berry, we live an Earthquake from Dragonite. Just by having 244 HP. That's kind of why. So that's cool. We are also packing 12 onto our speed. Why are we packing 12 onto our speed? So we can outspeed Heatran. We outspeed min speed Heatran by putting 12 into our speed. And we have 244 HP and max attack. So this thing is a physical. This is a physical Nidoqueen. Okay. A mixed, physically biased mixed Nidoqueen. That's the plan here. Because it works really well. We can set up rocks against just about anything. So if we get the rocks up, it's even better for us because then we can easily take out the Dragonite. We have the Poison Jab. Poison Jab is for that Slurpuff and just for overall stab purposes. We have the Ice Punch for the Dragonite, so we can take that hit from Dragonite and then kill it, which is great. The Shuckleberry has a lot of other options to come through for as well. Just putting that out there as well. There's the potential for, you know, Earth Power Heatran or something like that as well. That could come through, and the Shuckleberry come through on that as well. But more so hoping for the Earthquake on the Dragonite for the Shuckleberry. Ice Punch will take out the Dragonite then. And we have the Earth Power for the Heatran. Again, if it's min speed Heatran, we will outspeed it and hit it with a hard-hitting Earth Power. Even though we're not invested, it doesn't really matter. Uninvested Sheer Force Earth Power still does insane damage to everything, and it's a Heatran, and it doesn't like ground, doesn't like the dirt, so this little exploding dirt is going to make it die. So that's going to be our Nido Queen Latifah for this week. And the last mon we are running this week is going to be our beautiful, beautiful friend, Jura the Regirock. This thing right here, how I mentioned earlier, this is our check to Fletchinder. This absolutely checks Fletchinder in every fashion imaginable. Fletchinder cannot touch this thing. Fletchinder cannot attempt to touch this thing. If it's a fully physical sweeping set, it cannot touch this thing. We switch into it, and we eat every single move that Fletchinder can go for, and it doesn't matter. Fletchinder just can't touch us. This thing also can switch into, kind of switch into Heatran, since we're Assault Vested. We can kind of switch into Heatran. We can take hits. We can take a hit from Heatran. We can take a hit from Mega Scizor. We can now take a Hydro Pump from Rotom Wash. We can take just about any hit from Dragonite. We can do just about anything with this mon. We can take a hit from Roserade. We actually do take a Leaf Storm from Roserade with our Assault Vest here. 99% positive we can. Like, if it's a Life Orb, we can pretty much take it. We can take hits from Alakazam. We can take a hit from the Slurpuff. Slurpuff is really, really terrifying, by the way. But if Slurpuff gets up a Belly Drum, I'm pretty sure we do take any hit from the Slurpuff, which is awesome. And then the Wobbuffet is the only thing that would really be an issue to this set. This set cannot break past Wobbuffet, but that's totally fine. I will never ever put this. I will not put this thing in on the battle until Wobbuffet is dead, so that's fine. But we have max HP, max physical attack, adamant nature with 4 into our Spadef. With that 4 into Spadef, this thing basically becomes the most wally thing that I have on my team. With its base 200 defense already being ridiculous, its base 100 special defense getting any type of boost along with the Assault Vest is absolutely out of this world. We got Rock Slide for accuracy purposes. It'll hit the Dragonite. It'll hit the Fletchinder 4 times effectively, which is great. We've got the Fire Punch for the Mega Scizor, which is going to try to probably take us out, which is not going to work. We have the Earthquake, just for ground-type coverage against the Heatran. And the last move we have is Drain Punch. And I think I might change that right now. We have Drain Punch for the Umbreon. But what other mon did I have that had a Fighting-type move? Something else had a Fighting-type move. Oh no. We had Hyper Voice for Mega Gardevoir, that's why. Personally, I'm already hitting Dragonite with Rock Slide, so I'm not worried about that. I am just going to keep the Drain Punch on there. Part of me wants to put Iron Head because of part of me wants to put Iron Head for the Slurpuff, and I'm actually thinking that that's actually a kind of good idea, because if we're going to be able to switch in and take a hit from the Slurpuff, we kind of need to have a way of shitting on it. So I actually think, yeah, I'm going to do that live. I'm going to switch that to Iron Head. Yes. So we can hit that Slurpuff super effectively. We don't have anything to hit Furfrou super effectively, but that's totally fine because it's frail on the special side, and I think we can work with that. And Umbreon as well, we have ways around Umbreon, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. So yeah, that's going to be the team for this week. Hopefully this is going to be one hell of a week. This is going to be one hell of a match. Her team terrifies me, but I think this squad can put in a lot of work. And I'm really, really excited to give it a shot. So here we go into week 5. If you guys are hyped, please make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, I'm PokePrimer, signing off.